For now, we will start with the 45th Amendment Act, which was taken in 1980. So what did this act do? It extended the reservation of seats for SCs and STs, which is scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, and special representation for the Anglo-Indians in Lok Sabha as well as the state legislative assemblies for a period further up to 1990. Okay, so this is period of 10 years. So what we have seen that this provision of reservation, as you know, that provision of reservation for socially and educationally backward classes was mentioned in our DPSPs itself. Okay, and we also know that it is the government's responsibility to ensure that these classes are uplifted after a period of time, correct? And whatever the historical injustices that have been done to them and the facilities that have not been accessible, to make them accessible in the future. So what was happening is the government came up with a reservation, right, for SCs and STs and Anglo-Indians, and it was for only a specific period of time, as we know initially. But since these objectives were not met, these kept on, these reservation criteria up till the time limit, as we know, it kept on increasing till, and we know that even today it exists. So somewhere we can say that in a society, we have not been able to fully achieve what we wanted to achieve as an equal society with, no caste and class and creed and race boundaries and religious boundaries. But somewhere we can see that reservation has been a what? It has been a dual-edged sword. So reservation, as you know, has been a contentious issue, has been a hot issue also, and specifically, I think it is a good topic to discuss if you are appearing for the interview. Okay, so please prepare on certain aspects of reservation, especially with respect to the interview. If do you think that it should be there? Do you think it should not be there? What are your views about the economically weaker sections? And do you think economic is a good criteria, or should we stick to the social and educationally backward classes only? Then what about the promotions? What about the equality which was to be achieved, but in the 50 years and 60 years also, we have not been able to even provide them with the equal representation, the enough representation. What about the class within caste that has been emerging? What about from the vertical distribution of the caste structure, we have now a horizontal distribution of caste structure according to M.N. Srinivas. So there are so many things that are related to this particular issue, and especially with respect to if you have an option like sociology of an optional like anthropology, etc. So it makes a lot of sense to at least those candidates. Okay, now let's see the 46th Amendment Act. So 46th Amendment Act came around in 1982, and it enabled the states first to plug the loopholes in the laws and realize the sales tax dues. So this was basically about the taxation powers, etc. And the second is it brought about some uniformity in the tax rates on certain items. Because what is happening, India is a hugely diverse country, from products to from geography, from culture to religion to language, everything is so diverse. Okay, even the composition of people, the demography that we have is so diverse, from north to south, from east to west, from mainland versus northeast. Okay, and within one particular block also, you will find so many variations. So what was happening, even the products that we are producing, the sugar cane is being produced in one part of India, but highest producing sugar state is different. Similarly, the soya bean might be produced in one state, but the soya bean producing oil is another state. So you will find that there were tax rates which were differing on the same item in different states. And that is why, to bring about some uniformity in this tax rate, this Amendment Act was brought about. Then comes the 47th Amendment Act of 1984. It included 14 land reforms acts of various states in the 9th schedule. And 9th schedule, as I told you, it was basically to save laws which were implementing DPSPs, so even so that they cannot be violated or they cannot be nullified even if they are violating Article 14, 19, etc. So you will find that many times, as I told you in the past also, there have been acts which have been placed in the 9th schedule so that they could be saved from the judicial review. Okay, and thus now we see via 47th Amendment Act some 14 land reform acts which have been passed by various states. So land reforms include what? It might include abolishment of zamindari. It might include some placing of some ceiling rates that can be put on selling and buying of land. And this can be basically regulation of tenancy laws, passing of tenancy acts, okay, and even free distribution of land to the landless laborers, etc. So you will find that such reforms that you take around the land is called as the land reforms. And if these acts have to be saved from the judicial review, then they were placed in the 9th schedule. Then comes the 48th Amendment Act of 1984. It facilitated the extension of president's rule in Punjab beyond 1 year. As I told you, this can be extended from 1 year to 3 years, but there were two conditions. But here you will find via 48th Amendment, the president's rule was extended in Punjab beyond 1 year without meeting the two special conditions. What were those two special conditions? Election Commission of India saying elections cannot be conducted in that particular state, and second being there is already a national emergency which has been imposed. Okay, so even if these two conditions are not met, you need an amendment act which was passed so that the president rule in Punjab could be extended. And what is so special about this year, 1984? Have you heard something called as the Operation Blue Star? Have you heard something called of the Sikh riots? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. So you have to be in conjunction with polity, geography, post-independence, history, and other subjects so that you make a comprehensive view of the particular topic. Then comes the 49th Amendment Act of 1984. It gave a constitutional sanctity to the Autonomous District Council in Tripura. Okay, so as you know, we have something called as the 5th schedule and we have something called as the 6th schedule. So these two are basically, you can say, mostly for the protection of tribals. So 5th schedule mentions about the schedule areas and the tribal areas, and 6th schedule mentions about the 4 states, like tribals or 4 state protection, so that we can protect their culture, their laws and their provisions, etc. So they have customary laws. So 4 states are Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya and Mizoram. Okay, so within Tripura, you can see it is mentioned on the 6th schedule, and that is why you have something here, autonomous district councils, or you have autonomous regional councils. Okay, so that is why you will find that here in Tripura, it got a constitutional sanctity via 49th Amendment Act given to the Autonomous District Council. Then comes the 50th Amendment Act of 1984. It empowered the Parliament to restrict the fundamental rights of persons employed in the intelligence organizations and telecommunication system set up for armed forces or for intelligence organizations. Okay, so basically what is it saying? It is giving more powers to the Parliament so that it can restrict certain fundamental rights of forces, of people, of employees who are working in a very, you can say very, in an organization which is very, very important for defense or national security of India. For example, armed forces. So they might have data which is not available to general public because of national security concerns. For example, the people working in the intelligence departments. For example, your RAW, your intelligence bureau, etc. Then there are people who are working in the telecommunication system, and telecommunication is like the backbone of the infrastructure. If this comes to an halt, you and me also cannot connect to each other. So to make sure that these employees are not actually, going out and doing something that might harm or might be against the national interest, so Parliament was empowered to restrict certain fundamental rights of only these people. Then comes the 51st Amendment Act of 1984. It provided for the reservation of seats in Lok Sabha for scheduled tribes in Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland and Mizoram, as well as legislative assemblies. Okay, so there's a difference. In Lok Sabha, you are providing reservation for 4 particular states, and legislative assembly for Meghalaya and Nagaland. Then comes the 52nd Amendment Act of 1985. It is also